In this video, I only covered the task or skill questions found in the GMetrix Illustrator CC 18 Test 1. Task 14 tells us to use the direct selection tool to convert the top anchor point of the red half circle to be a corner. To do that, what we want to do is go ahead and select the direct selection tool. We'll go ahead and click here, and then we'll select that anchor point. From here, we want to go ahead and open the properties panel. We want to select this corner here. And notice the change. We'll go ahead and collapse this panel and we'll select off our triangle. We'll go ahead and click next. Task 15 wants us to go ahead and make the green wrench graphic into a document guide. To do that, what we want to do is select the green wrench. We want to go to View. Then we're going to go to Guides. And then we're going to go ahead and select Make Guides. We'll go ahead and click next. Task 16 wants us to group all of the green leaves together and all the blue leaves together, and then we're going to go ahead and name those two groups. The first thing we want to do is select one of the leaves for green, and then from here what we want to do is go to the Select tab here at the top, go to Same, and then Fill Color, and it went ahead and selected all the green leaves with the same color. From here, what we want to do is go to Object at the top, and then select Group. We'll go ahead and click off that. We'll go ahead and select a blue leaf. And then from here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to Select, Same, Fill Color. And then we'll go to Object and then Group. From here, we'll go ahead and open up the Layers panel. And we'll go ahead and click this drop down so we can see some things. And I'll go ahead and stretch this out just to see more of it. This first group right here, I'm going to go ahead and double click here. I can see that those are green leaves. I'll go ahead and type in green group, capital G's for both. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the blue group. I'm going to go ahead and double click here and type in blue group, capital B, capital G, hit enter to set my text. I'll go ahead and collapse this panel. I'll select off everything and I'll click next. Task 17 wants us to change the document artboard to be portrait orientation instead of landscape. To do that, what I want to do is make sure I have my selection tool here selected. And with nothing selected here, I want to go to the properties panel. I'm going to select edit artboards. And then in this section, I want to change it from landscape to portrait. I'll go ahead and collapse this. And I'll go ahead and click next. Task 18 wants us to add text to this document that says upload all capitalized. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and select the type tool here. And it tells us that we want to place it on top of this yellow box. And we'll go ahead and type upload. I'll go ahead and hit Control A just to select all that text. From here, I'm going to go to the properties panel. I'm going to scroll down to the character section. I'm going to change this to Arial. And it tells me Arial bold. So we'll go ahead and select that. And the size, it tells us it's going to be 65 point. And then I'll just go ahead and click the selection tool so I can drag that just right on top of that yellow box, and I'll click off of it. We'll click next. Task 19 wants us to change the angle of the wrench graphic to 180 degrees. And then we're going to change the fill color to CMYK blue. To do that, what we want to do is select the wrench. We'll go to the properties panel here, and then we're in the transform group. We can just change this from 0 to 180. And then what we want to do is click the fill here. And then what we're looking for is CMYK blue. If you're not sure, make sure you hover before you select the color to make sure that you are selecting the correct color. And we'll click off that. We'll collapse this panel. We'll click next. Task 20 wants us to create a new pattern brush using the image here. So I'm going to go ahead and select this image. I'm going to go to the window tab here at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and select brushes. With this panel open, I'm going to select new brush. And then what we want to select is pattern brush here. We'll click OK. In this window, it tells us to give it the name flower brush, capital F, capital B with no space. And it tells us to give it a spacing of 25%. And it tells us to accept all other defaults. We'll click OK. We'll close out of this, and I'll click off the image. We'll click next. Task 21 wants us to change the document color mode to CMYK for printing, and then we're going to go ahead and change the resolution to medium. To do that, what we want to do is go to the File tab here at the top. Then we want to hover over Document Color Mode and change it to CMYK. Now we want to go to the Effect tab here at the top, and we want to select Document Raster Effect Settings. In the resolution, we'll change that to the medium, and we'll click OK. We'll click Next. Task 22 wants us to create a new document that uses the Web Large Document preset. To do that, let's go to the File tab here at the top and select New. At the top, we'll select Web. We'll select Web Large. We'll change our artboards to 2, and we'll go ahead and rename this. We'll go ahead and select Create, and we'll click Next. Task 24 wants us to create a polygon shape that has 6 sides and a radius of 80 pixels. To do that, we want to come over here and click and hold on the rectangle tool, and then select Polygon tool. And then we'll just go ahead and click within our document to get this dialog box. From here, we want to change that to 80 pixels, and we'll keep the 6 sides. We'll go ahead and click OK. And then we'll go ahead and click Next. Task 25 wants us to combine all of the layers that contain graphic elements into a new layer. And then we're going to go ahead and name that new layer Artwork. To do that, what we want to do is click the Layers panel. And what we'll do is we'll select white bars. I'll hold the Shift key on my keyboard and select half circle. After we've done that, we want to go ahead and click the options up here at the top. And then select Merge Selected. And then with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and double click here. And then type in Artwork with a capital A. We'll hit Enter on our keyboard to set that text. And we'll go ahead and click Next. Task 26 is asking us to change the layer color to increase the contrast between the different layers. And it tells us that we want that color to be magenta. To do that, we want to open up the Layers panel here at the top. And we'll select the text layer. And then what I'll do is I'll double click here. And then in this section, I just want to go ahead and change the color from light blue to magenta. And we'll click OK. And notice it went ahead and changed that color. We'll select Next. Task 27 wants us to collect all of the objects into one single layer. And then we're going to go ahead and name that new layer Complete. So we'll go ahead and select all 3 of these. I'm just going to select the first layer, hold the Shift key, and select the last layer. And notice that all of them have been selected. From here, we'll click the options at the top, and you want to be careful not to select New Layer, but to select Collect in New Layer. And notice it put that all together. Let's go ahead and double click here, Layer 5, so that I can type in Complete. We'll hit Enter to set that text, and we'll click Next. Task 28 wants us to change the print settings of this document so that it has a bleed of 25 pixels. To do that, what we want to do is go to File tab here at the top, go to Print. In this section, we want to go ahead and select Marks and Bleed. In the Bleed section, we'll go ahead and uncheck Use Document Bleed Settings. And you'll want to keep that checked so that you can have the bleed be mirrored for all of the sides in this document. So I'll go ahead and type in 25 and just hit Tab. And notice it went ahead and updated. We'll go ahead and click Done. And we'll click Next. Task 29 wants us to go ahead and type text on this circle here. And then it gives us some font properties to apply to it. To do that, what we want to do is go to the Type tool here, and I'm going to click and hold my mouse so that this pops out. And I'm going to select Type on a Path tool. Now my cursor has changed. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and click here on the circle. And notice it went ahead and placed that fill text for me. Now I'm going to type Saltman in all caps. After I type that, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control A on my keyboard to select all of that text. And then what I want to do is go to the Properties panel here. I'm going to click that to open it. I'm going to go ahead and change the font to Arial. And I'll go ahead and select that. It tells me my font size is going to be 80 and that my tracking is going to be 50. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and select off of it and use the selection tool here. And if you look here carefully, you have two bars here. And as I put my cursor over it, notice that my cursor changes with different arrow directions. So what I can do here is I can click and drag this to the other side. And then I'm going to go ahead and click this other constraint line. And then watch what happens. I can now move that here. So we can make that just right, what looks right to us. I'm going to go ahead and click off that. And I'm going to click next. Task 30 tells us to lower the opacity of the upload cloud icon to 75%. So we'll go ahead and select that icon. We'll open up the properties panel here at the top. And then opacity, we'll change that from 100 to 75%. We'll hit enter. We'll click off that icon and we'll click next. Task 31 wants us to rearrange our artboards in this document so that they are arranged by row. To do that, we want to go to the window tab here at the top and select artboards. And then from here, we want to click this button, rearrange all artboards. And then what you want to select is this one right here, arrange by row. And then you want to keep this checked, move artwork with artboard, and we'll click OK. And notice it went ahead and changed that for us. We'll go ahead and close out of this panel and we'll click next. Task 32 wants us to create a new graphic style based upon the effects applied to the tree trunk. To do that, what we want to do is select the tree trunk. Then we'll go to the window tab here at the top, select graphic styles. From here, we'll click the new graphic style button. And then what we want to do is just double click here so that we can change the style name to wood texture. And we'll click OK. And we'll close out of this panel. Task 33 wants us to use the gray rectangle to cut out the head of this wrench. To do that, what we want to do is I'm going to click the gray rectangle and then I'm going to hold the shift key on my keyboard to select the wrench as well. From here, what we want to do is go to the properties panel here. And then we want to go to the Pathfinder group and then select minus front. These features in the Pathfinder are something that you're going to want to be familiar with because I've seen similar questions on other Adobe tests, and you could very well be asked a question like this on the exam. And notice it went ahead and cut away that shape. We'll go ahead and click next. Task 35 asks us to select all the red colored objects in the document using a single click. And then it gives us the color that it wants us to change it to with the values. To do that, what we want to do is select the magic wand tool here. We'll go ahead and select one of the colors. And notice it selected them all. From here, we'll double click the fill. And we'll change the properties here to what it gives us in the instructions. And notice it went ahead and changed all of those. We'll go ahead and click off that shape. And we'll click next. Task 36 wants us to give the yellow rectangle a difference blending mode. So we'll go ahead and select that. We'll go ahead and select the window tab here at the top. And what we want to select here is transparency. And then here we want to change it from normal to difference. And we can close out of that. And we'll click off of it. We'll click next. Task 37 wants us to edit our background gradient fill. And it gives us the hexadecimal for that color, and it tells us to change the midpoint within the location. To do that, what we'll do is we'll select the background. From here, we'll select window at the top. We'll select gradient. In this section, we'll click this here to open this up. And if it puts you here, just all you have to do is select color. We'll change that hexadecimal color. We'll click off that. And then what we need to do here is on the gradient slider, click that and change the location to 70%. Notice that change. And we'll close out of this panel. We'll click next.